Hi third graders, it's Ms. Sanamio and it's time to take a look at our solutions for our DMA. So if you would go ahead and look at week 3, day 3, let's get started. So the first question on our review for DMA today is, what shape has 6 sides and 6 vertices? So there's some vocabulary in here that we need to make sure that we understand. The word vertices are corners. Okay, so a corner or a vertex, sometimes singular would be vertex. So we need to know how many sides and how many corners or how many vertices. Another word to think about when we're thinking about geometry is the word shape. You might later on, as we continue in geometry in 3rd grade, you might hear the word polygon. The word polygon, poly is Greek or Latin for many, and gon means sides. So we have a many-sided figure to take a look at, and it has 6 sides and 6 corners or 6 vertices. Now, we would, if we had a resource, we could take a look at in our planner. There is a page in your front of your planner that shows the different types of shapes, both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional. We want to kind of focus on the 2-dimensional. So we're looking at these here to the left. So we have square, rectangle, trapezoid, quadrilateral, which is a 4-sided figure, which these are 4-sided figures also, rhombus, and parallelogram. Parallelogram and rhombus, these you'll notice are all the same color because of the fact that they are all quadrilaterals, which we will go into more depth as we continue in 3rd grade. You have a circle and an ellipse. A pentagon, if you notice, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. This is a regular pentagon, which means it has sides that are all the same length. And here we have a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So hexagons have 6 sides, and then here you have an octagon. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. So we are looking for a 6-sided figure. So when we talk about 6-sided figures, it doesn't matter if they're the same length. As long as it's a 6-sided figure, it's called a hexagon. So I'm going to write hexagon here. And hex means 6, or hexa means 6, and gon means sides. So just some vocabulary here that's going to help you maybe later on if you come across a word that has some similar parts to it. Then we have our subtraction sentences. We have 4 minus 0. We want to find the difference. So our difference, of course, anytime you're not subtracting from the total, you would have the same amount, which would be 4. So your difference is 4. You're starting with 12, subtracting 2 and 2, or that's how I like to break it apart. So if I subtract 2 from 12, that's 10. And then 10 minus 2 more would give me 8. Make sure that you remember that our opposite, or inverse, sometimes we call it inverse, our opposite operation, which is addition, can be used to check our subtraction. So remember that, because when we get into larger numbers, we're going to continue that idea as we continue further into our 3rd grade curriculum. And then 4 minus 2, 4 minus 2 is 2. But again, we can always double check our subtraction by taking the part that we found, the part that we know, and finding to see if it adds up to the total. Okay, so I'm going to skip the word problem for right now, and I'm going to go into my rounding the numbers to the nearest 100. So if we take a look at and use our multiples of 10 chart, eventually we'll hopefully be able to get away from using our multiples of 10 chart, but if we need to use it, we can. So we're looking for the 200s first. Step one is look for the 200s that this number is between. So 736, if I use my multiples of 10 chart, I would see that 736 would lie between, probably right here, between these two 10s, 730 and 740. Now we're not rounding to the closest 10, but if you notice on the left end of this row and the right end of this row, we have our hundreds. So we know that 736 is going to lie between or be between the 700, it's going to be between 700 and it's going to be between 800. Now we've got to use our tens place to decide. 50 is halfway between, or we should say 750 is halfway between 700 and 800. So if it does not pass 50, if our tens place does not pass 50, then we are going to round down and it's going to be closer to 700. Okay? 397, again, we look at the hundreds place. There's a 300. Again, if we look at our chart, 397 would be right about here in our multiples of 10 chart. Again, we're looking at the 200s. It's between 300 and 400. So look how close, when we look at how the proximity or how close something is, 397 is much further away than it is from 400. So 397 is 3 away from 400, but it's 97 away from 300. So when we're rounding to the closest 100, definitely 397 is going to round to 400. 890, again, if we're using our chart, 890 is right here. It happens to be one of our multiples of 10. Again, we're looking to round it to the closest 100. So we have 800 on this end, and 900 at this end. So 890 is going to be closer to 900. Okay, so now let's go to our word problem, and we're first going to find the information on our KFA. What do we know? What information do we know in our word problem? So it says Owen is going to visit his aunt. He travels 278 miles on Saturday. He travels 81 miles farther on Sunday than he did on Saturday. So he traveled Sunday the same distance that he traveled on Saturday plus 81 more miles. So the question is, how many miles did Owen travel on Sunday? So if we were to think about how to show this on possibly on a graphic organizer, we could say, so remember you have this space in the back to show your work. You have 278 miles that he traveled on Saturday. He traveled 81 miles further. So he's traveling 81 miles further on Saturday than Sunday. So he's adding another 81 miles to his 278 miles that he did on Sunday. So they want to know how many miles he traveled on Sunday. So it's 81 more miles. So we know that we could take 278 and add on 80. And if we add on 80 to 278, remember that 70 and 80 is going to give you 150, which means you're going to regroup this 100 into the hundreds place with the 200. So that would make 358. Then we need to add on the one more. So we're going to add on the one more, and that would give us 359 miles. So on Sunday, he would have traveled 359 miles. So when we go to answer our problem with an answer statement, we would say Owen traveled, and this is really important to start getting our open-ended questions with responses, because when we get to our park, they expect you to write out and explain your thinking for our word problem. So really important. Owen traveled 359 miles on Sunday because if he adds 81 more miles to Saturday, which is 278, that will give us a sum of 359 miles. So those are our problems for today. Hopefully this helped you, and I'm sure that double checking these is really helping you. So let's keep this up, and hopefully we're going to see some real improvement in our math skills. And I hope you guys have a really great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.